All right, give me 1 second. I wish I could go in reverse and
Cue the
start.
music.
CC. Boom. We are back on, and I guarantee that microphone works now. Hello, hello, hello. Once again, screw you, Facebook. I'm gonna go over here for a second and say hello to everyone on my Security Tales Live. So listen, I did an open monologue, and what we're gonna be discussing, basically, simple as this. It's not about who hurt you, who cheated, who failed, or who left. It's about what people carry into relationships and pretend isn't there. So we're going to be discussing a whole thing. And right now, one of my first comments, I have Mike with me, a friend of mine.
Hi, everybody.
Maria couldn't make it today; she had some personal stuff going on. So what I'm going to do is I want to discuss. So you guys missed some of it, so forget about it. So we're going to go the past check. I'm going to call this first segment of all past check. Okay, growing up, what did love look like in your house?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, I want you to lie to me.
I didn't honestly see a lot of love at home. There, whether I don't know whether it was a cultural thing or
So
if
when you're saying cultural thing, what nationality are you?
I'm Chinese
Okay.
and both my parents were born in China. My dad emigrated after World War II and then went back to China in the 60s to literally do the whole you're a certain age, it's time for you to get married. And he went back to China and went through a quote unquote marriage broker who lined up all sorts of like just a whole lineup of single women who were also of marrying age. And he went on, you know, dates, for lack of a better term, with them until he found someone that he thought he was compatible with. So while it wasn't necessarily an arranged marriage, it was kind of an arranged marriage, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, growing up, I mean, I didn't honestly see a lot of affection between my mother and father.
Okay. So sorry, I was just trying to send CC to tell her that I fixed the mic. So interesting. I come from a Cape Verdean family mindset where we are close and we are very attached, but because we were excuse me if I say this wrong, lock and key, like we took care of ourselves, right? So, from a young age, I only had a mom. My father passed, and me and my sister were raised by our mother. I met my sister on later on in life, like fourth or fifth grade. She was actually going to school, parochial school at the time, and my mother always worked. So my mother, you know, did what she did to support us by working. So my mother would go in at 7 to 3, possibly come home at 11 or 12 or 1 in the morning to do it all again. But my mother never worked 7 to 3. She worked from 4 in the morning all the way till the next day. So if I see her, I see her. Then she used to work Saturdays and Sundays. So when we did have time, there was affection and there was, family time and all that. But what part of that do you see yourself repeating?
I mean, honestly, I don't think from a personality standpoint, I'm in terms of relationships like either one of my parents. I'm probably a complete 180 from what my parents are
So what do
or
you mean?
were.
You're more attached instead of more distant,
I
or
think yeah,
because
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have any problem showing affection for the person that I'm in a relationship with, whereas I never saw any of that. There were like when they were together, they were always very reserved and there was no there was no outward signs of affection where I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If anything, my wife would probably say I'm probably too much the other way and sometimes go out of my way to embarrass her. with stuff that I do.
Okay. Okay. Well, find that interesting. I look at my way of dealing with situations a little more different than my mom is. I crave conversation. So, and when I'm in a relationship, I would like us to be equal as having the conversation, but I would like to talk. I would like to talk about the day. I would like to talk what's affected. Like everyone every day has something that might have not been something they wish for. And by the way, Cece, if you're watching on Facebook, go back to the YouTube and let me know if it's working because I believe I corrected it. I forgot to click on the mic. But I am different than my mom. I am different than my uncles, and I am different than all my aunts. I look for closure, compassion. I look for understanding, but also because of my years of being in relationships, I've always been an open door. That now at my age now, I'm more of a closed door, meaning now I sit very quiet. I take particular attention to the words someone says, and then if it becomes repeated in the actions they do, I start to question it. And what I mean by questioning it is if you're consistently saying something to me about the same thing constantly, I'm going to question why you're asking me it, especially if it isn't anything so great about it.
Mhm.
So I do
You're
believe
wondering
I'm a
what-
little bit
So
different
you're
than
wondering
that.
what the motive behind someone like being repetitive about a certain thing.
Yeah, I think if someone always, um, and it could be as simple as, I don't know. I'm just thinking, possibly leaving your shoes somewhere. Okay. I think there's so many things that go on in a relationship that if you're bringing up a little shoe situation, why does it have to, ignite to a bigger situation
Mhm.
and start to bring up stuff in the past that has nothing because now we're discussing something in the present. You don't know what you're going to have in the future, and you're not going to live on things that you harbor on in the past. You need to conform yourself, build yourself, and move forward. Period. So I always wonder things like that, right? What carries over in relationship? So in a relationship, okay, we've already discussed that. Has the question ever made you feel secure in long term? So when you're in your relationship and you go and you question a situation or an issue that bothers you, has the question ever made you feel secure long term? Or is that something that keeps going back to the old repeat?
You know what? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that I've had enough relationships that lasted where I would question stuff like that. It was always previous relationships were always just sort of brief and then ended and never really got any like real like closure to the ending. It just sort of ended and fizzled
Okay.
until I met my wife Dana, and then I mean, we've now been together 19 years,
Damn.
12, almost 12 years married. So
Congratulations. Congratulations. The way I look at things, if the answer doesn't bring peace, then you know what? The question isn't about information. So if obviously we're having a question and it's like, and you're questioning me about my actions or your actions of me questioning you, and if it's not going to lead to some information of thought and process of what's going on, then I kind of would like to come to a resolution and a solution. And if I can't, what you're supporting with me and telling me what your information that you're handing to me, I'm not understanding it. I gotta walk away for a second because it's not gonna make any sense to me. You understand what I'm saying?
no, I think I do. Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that I was sitting here and I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and it was funny because they're going through their own family things, and they were telling me the lines the person they were with in a relationship. And I was trying to figure out, are we programmed this way because every relationship's their lines are all the same? So one of the lines, and tell me if you ever heard this, insecurity disguises itself as love, right? And I just need reassurance. Would you ever leave me? You ever hear that?
Honestly, no.
So you've never heard, would you ever leave me? Never. Okay.
No, I can honestly say no, I haven't.
Okay. How about I just need reassurance? Damn, Mike, I'm gonna go with no
I'm
on
gonna say
that.
no. Yeah, I'm gonna say
Okay.
no on that as well.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I sit back and it's not about a control. It's not a disguise, but it is a concern. So to me, why like didn't you answer? I just want to know where you are. Okay. And what I mean by that is, so when someone goes and asks me that in reassurance, maybe I'm answering it incorrectly because I say to them, well, if I'm in a relationship with you, that should let you know how much value you are for me being in a relationship and how important you are to me. I'm not doing anything outside of this relationship. So why wouldn't that make someone secure enough?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I think that I'm of the opinion that my actions would speak louder than any words I could say. That if you see how I am with you when we're in a relationship, I would kind of hope that you wouldn't need verbal reassurance as to why we're together. I'm showing you at least I would hope that I'm showing you on a daily basis why we're actually together or why I want to be with you.
Wouldn't you figure that's how it is? If I'm sitting there with you, we're doing everything together, you would imagine that would suffice, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would, I would, I would think so. Yes.
So I kind of broke down something because I started wondering how people speak by listening to my buddy and some things he had said, and I was like researching stuff, and I realized it's more or less trauma speaking. So when people turn around and say, "I've been hurt before," okay, never heard that.
I have heard that, but I think everyone has either said it or thought it at some point. But I mean,
So
I
what
don't know
position do
anyone.
you feel when a girl or a guy friend looks at you? Because I've heard of that. I've heard that from a guy friend where it's like, I want to trust to speak to you because I've been hurt before, meaning like I've told someone and consulted them and confided in them. And the next thing you know, they ran and talked my business. So I've been hurt before. So I need someone to trust and to speak to. Can you give me that assurance I can trust you? You know what I mean? I didn't hear it as a girl relationship, but I have heard it as a male relationship.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a guy or a girl, and whether it's a physical relationship or a like mental relationship. I mean, it's easy to say, it's easy to say, I've been hurt before and like look towards the person that you're like having the conversation with, you know, to give me reassurances that, you're not going to do the same. But it's like, it's just words.
Yeah.
Like you can say to me, I can say to you, I have been hurt before. How do I know you're not going to do the same to me? And you can assure me that you're not going to do that. But until your actions prove whether or not you actually will or will not hurt me, it's just words. Actions in this, I feel like in this instance, your actions speak louder than any words you could say.
But what if you make those actions, those Karen actions, and there has been nothing that would lead to that? Do you not question why that person's asking? Do you sit back? Like sometimes when someone says something and I know I didn't do shit in plain English, I'm like, where is this going and why is this happening right now?
Well, I mean, I
But I
think
don't say it in my head. I want to listen. I want to be there. But my question is, what just happened?
I think people, to some extent, carry baggage from past relationships, and that can color how you move forward with like future relationships. It's I it's to me it's just a matter of how much have you actually moved on from that past relationship? What did you learn from it? And then how did you move forward from it? If you haven't really moved forward from it, then you're still going to be carrying that emotional baggage with every future relationship you have with anyone.
Okay. Okay. I guess I could see that because that's why it's called emotional baggage. So I always hear from like people, and it's always the same line. Why are you acting different? And it's like, acting different. What? How would I be acting different? I'm acting the same person. I'm very non-filtered. I'm very forward.
You non-filter.
Well, shit happens. I say what I'm gonna say, and I don't mean to insult people. There is no um intentions in my mind. I know I've said something to you where, listen, I could come in, and one thing I've learned, and maybe it's because I've learned this because I went to the academy and we were trained from that, is no matter what goes on in home, you always act like everything's all right out in the street. I've had people where I've come in very quiet, and like it or not, you'll come in, Peter or somebody, go, everything's all right. Everything's fine, but I got everything rolling in my head where I need to fix what my thing is. I'm not acting different. I'm just now focused over here. And now when people question me on that, I'm like, no, I'm the same jerk, asshole, or whatever you want to call me every day. It's just right now my mindset is here and I need to complete this. So I keep hearing like voices, like almost some like I have a phone on. Um, so you know, you ever hear that? Like, and if you did, were you acting different?
if I if I was, I don't think that I would be aware of it. I mean, I think for the most part, like I am the for the at least I think I am the same pretty much all the time. I mean, there are times when I'm stressed and that bleeds through, but I mean, it's about like putting every single thing into its own compartment. You're focused on one thing and you can be thinking about other things, but I mean, when I come into your office, I already know I have like so many other things going on, but I'm here at work.
Mike, stop
I
your
have a job.
bullshit.
I have a
Stop
job
your
to do.
bullshit, Mike. Stop your bullshit. So listen, one thing I can tell you, because once again, it's like, I wanted to do this because a lot of people have been calling me. I've been helping out a lot of people. And by the way, a shout out to Anna Imprizio Avilia, who I've sent my friends to as attorneys to help them out go through what they're going through. And I really appreciate the time and effort that you've put into it. But one of the craziest things that I always feel is when someone asks questions, they're asking because either they're guilty of something and they're trying to start something to forward it into you so they could be at ease to get that anger out of you. So now they could be like, "Whew, I got him mad, but I'm trying to figure out how to say this. So let's say I did something over here, but I can't tell you or I didn't get caught for it. In order to settle that issue and problem that I did over here to you, I come at you to yell at me about something different, which would ease this over here because I got yelled at. I got scolded for something. Okay. So my whole thing is in a relationship, and this is why a lot of like people I've dated in situations, I'm not saying a lot group and I dated the world. I'm just saying relationships that I've been with. One of the biggest things that I always hear is I don't argue. I don't argue. So they yell, they scream, and I just sit there and they're like, what the fuck's your problem in plain English? And I'm like, you're having a conversation. I'm listening to you yell at me. I'm breaking down my thought and I'm processing it. So I'm not acting different, but I need to know what just erupted with you. I needed to know what's going on with you. And then I love it. Well, this happened a long time ago and this happened and now this is going on. Well, why didn't you discuss that with me in the past when it happened? Why did you wait until this moment to build everything up to erupt on this simple thing. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know, I totally understand, and man, I think a lot of people, myself included, probably are guilty of doing that in relationships, where you don't necessarily talk about something right when it happens and just clear the air, and you just sort of swallow it,
Yeah.
and then over time things build, and like you pile one thing on top of another until something that could just be really stupid happens, and then it just sort of opens up the floodgates.
So you know what I refer to that? Someone weak. Because not to take any value away from you, you went to a prestigious school. My wife went there. Um, but to me, if you're that well educated, then the education should be placed to that conversation. And it shouldn't be, I'm gonna erupt at this moment. I'm gonna be pissed about this because of all this. It's we're only together in the moment. We're only together in this life for a second. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I woke up the other day and I go, holy Christ, I'm 55 years old. I go, I've already lived half my life if I live another 30 years. And how fast that everything went so forward. And I am not like, and I'm happy. I'm very, very appreciative that the relationship I'm in. Obviously she's a doctor and obviously, I own my own business and we're a power couple and we keep trying to succeed forward and constantly doing it. And so I appreciate that. But I remember back in my past relationships where it was so imbalanced and it was like so kiddish,
Mm.
where everything was an argument. And I used to sit quiet and just watch. And the more I sat, the more it erupted into bigger things, meaning things thrown at me, or my car being keyed, or my windshield's being broken, or my tires being sliced. And I'm like, really? I go, luckily, my shout out to the Riccardi's Auto Body Shop in Tito's, all right, on Main Street, that always repairs my vehicles when stupidness happens. Mad love and respect. But I find it amazing in how relationships will develop over relationships until you're finally with the individual that you're with. And then because of those past relationships in little niches and little things that they do, all of a sudden it becomes you. So, in other words, if you had two phones out on the table, right? And this is always my pet peeve, and it has nothing to do with my relationships or any, it's my pet peeve. If I met you and your phone was always that way, okay? And what I mean by that way is the screen is up. All of a sudden, years later, your screen's still up. All of a sudden, you decide to flip your screen down. Maybe it's the way I'm bred, or maybe it's because the position and the jobs I've had. That to me is a tail sign.
You're hiding something, or you're trying
There
to.
you go.
You're
I didn't
attempting to
even
hide
lead you.
something.
I didn't even lead you. Why is it for X amount of time your phone was up? Okay, now your phone's down. For instance, me, I don't personally care. You know my passcodes. You grab my company phone and you're like, open it up. It means nothing to me. I don't hide anything. So to me, things become suspect when you change your passcodes where I had the rights to before in little things. And some other people are gonna argue, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Well, maybe it doesn't mean anything because you're doing the same. Okay. I am not looking for that type of partner. You know what I mean? Nor am I looking for a partner. I'm just saying, at the time, these are the things that always led to situations. And also because I never questioned it, it also made the other individual angered. So if all of a sudden I never asked them why they flipped their phone down.
So literally, like going from this all the time to this, and then you not asking why are you flipping your phone?
Got them mad. Literally got them mad.
Because they thought you didn't care, or because they were actually hiding something and wanted to get caught and wanted to know why you weren't calling them out on it?
Well, later on, that's exactly what it led to, because the person that was texting was also a friend of mine that was texting. And I'm sorry, it wasn't even a friend. I keep saying friend. It was an acquaintance. And I have very few friends and a lot of acquaintances because you know what? been stabbed in my back so many times that I'm gonna walk around a shield until I'm dead. And I hate to say it, and it's not that I was hurt. It's just that I respect myself too much, okay, to be walked on. And that's all it is. But yeah, needless to say, it led to that. But I don't even want to get caught up with that because one of my things is um once again, I've heard this line, who meant more? So you're out of a relationship. Now your relationship's going great. Then all of a sudden, in a great positive moment, your wife, your girlfriend, your partner looks at you and goes, "Have you seen Steve around? Have you seen Cindy around? Have you seen so and so around?" Who means more? Why would any person that you love and you're so happy to be with question why somebody else would mean more? I hate it when people say to me, well, you tend to talk to your mom, your sister, your uncles, so they mean more than me. Well, they are my family, but they mean in a different way than you do. I'm not looking to make out with my mother, my sister, my uncles. I'm not looking to go, wow, my aunt's looking good in those jeans. I don't understand when someone says that to me. I'm like, what the hell did that just mean? This is a different type of relationship.
Yeah, that'd be
This
really
isn't
creepy.
Roman times.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not marrying my sister to keep my my lineage, strong.
Yeah, you're not Oedipus.
Yes, yes. I was looking for that word. I couldn't think of it.
Like, what? I don't understand that kind of question at all.
You've never had that? Who meant more?
No.
Really?
Although that could just be a statement as to like just how like shallow some of my past relationships
Well,
have been.
see, you got to look at it two ways. So my buddy that had brought that up, he has a child with another female,
Okay.
and has a child with his present female. So she inquires, who means more? Because
out of the two kids?
No, not out of the two kids, out of the two relationships.
Oh,
because
okay.
here's the thing, I look at it this way, totally different than other people. You don't have a child with someone unless you care for that person while while it's happening, because obviously you're having emotions, you're having this, and then you procreate a child. Now you're with your new relationship, and the same thing happens. So now, while that child is being born, and it was only like a year and a half apart, by the way.
Oh,
yes.
That's a pretty.
So now he's placed in that predicament where it's who meant more, because now a year and a half apart in babies. And I was like, he was like, how would you answer that? And I said, here's the problem. There is no answer for that. At the time you procreated with the female you had before, you loved her, because you wouldn't have done that if you didn't love her. And that was your goal, was to build a family and have a child with her. Then you found out the second baby wasn't yours right after she had the first baby. So now your decision is hate, anger. So obviously, how do you say that? But you could say, well, obviously I did love her.
Yeah, well, at the time that you were like starting a family with this person, yes, you would have loved them. But then like a fundamental trust was broken. And then you move on.
Okay. Have you ever been in a relationship that you've stated you loved someone that you didn't?
No. I can honestly say no.
Okay.
I've never done that.
All right. I know I was in a relationship that I could never say the word love because I didn't love them, but I married them and I never loved them. They never heard the word I love you because I didn't. And even though we have a beautiful daughter together, I did the man thing, married, do the whole thing. And a lot of things happened from that relationship that was all fabricated and lies. And I'm glad that I'm in the place I am now. So the funny thing is, I never said it to her, but I did say it to my daughter every day. So how about this one to you? You never did this for me. I've never heard it either,
No.
though. Okay. So one thing I could say that I always like to say, misery's looking for company. If you loved me, you'd feel this. Most dangerous line, I'm just asking. I hate it when people just say, I'm just asking, because there's no sense in even asking.
If you're asking, then there's a reason behind it. It's not just an idle question.
Yeah, there you go. It's a question because you want an answer.
Yeah.
It's not just I'm just asking. So misery doesn't want solution, it wants witnesses. And that's how I look for that question. So every time you're asking something like that is you want witnesses to see this because they want to validate you with this anger thing that you have, and it's stupid. So to me, I'm going to move on from that one. Control versus care. What behavior do you call a boundary that someone else might call control?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So to me, people might call it control. I personally think there's situations and times where you can do something and you can't do it at another time. So for instance, if let's say smoking, okay, thank God my wife doesn't smoke. You do.
Yes.
So I feel if we were to go somewhere, so let's say a wake, okay, you walk in, whatever, then you walk outside the building, you have a cigarette. I don't think it's proper. I don't think until you leave to get completely away from that area that you should do that. So people always say, "Oh, Jesus Christ, you smoke cigars and this and that." I go, but I don't do that there. I don't do it in places that I don't that I'm not allowed to. Even my wife, if I gotta go smoke, I'll smoke outside in an area because I know she hangs out in another area, even though she smokes. Sometimes some people just don't want to have it around them.
Yeah.
So to me, but it applies to anything. To me, that's what it applies to. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a time and place for everything. Like the scenario that you brought up, it's like, I mean, while I am a smoker, like being at a wake, you're there to show respect for the person who's passed and try to be a comfort to that person's family. Like I can smoke anytime for however long I'm there. I would like to think that, you know what, my need for a cigarette is I can push that aside to like fulfill the obligations that I need to fulfill. You want to be a comfort to the people that just lost someone. It's like I can smoke anytime, and I'm not. I wouldn't even. That would. I would. That I. I don't think that would enter in my mind to like. Oh, let me just sneak out to have a smoke, and then I'll go back in. It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna have a smoke when I'm leaving. When I've been there for that other person.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you something. So just try to figure out how to say it. So what behavior, or should I say your past? Yeah, let's use your past. Are you still asking someone else to heal you for? So if you brought things into your personal life that you're asking someone to help you heal forward on it so you can move forward together as a relationship?
No, I don't think I'm asking anyone to
I
help
didn't say
me.
anyone, your relationship.
Again, no, my answer is still no. I don't I wouldn't ask the person that I'm in a current relationship with to try and heal me or heal something from a past relationship. That's on me. I feel like that's on me to either work on myself to get over what hurt me, or that's just going to be something that's just always a like open wound.
So let me
But
ask you something.
it's not the person you're in a relationship currently. I don't feel like it's their job to heal any past
Then
wounds.
what's the sense of having a relationship if you can't confide in a relationship for something that traumatized you in the past? I
I'm
don't
not
want
saying
you to be
can't.
part of my traumatization, but I want you to be that person.
I don't think it's a matter of. I mean, there's nothing.
So you just said heal
Confiding.
yourself.
Confiding in the person that you're in a current relationship with. I don't have that. That's not to me an issue. But in terms of like actual healing from something, I mean, if you can't, to me, if you're not able to do that yourself, I don't necessarily feel that someone else is going to necessarily be able to help me heal or get over something.
I find that comment interesting. I really do. So my process of thought about this is if I didn't have the individual I have in my life right now to discuss some of my things that I need to get off my chest, and it could have been something that happened to me long, long, long time ago. Like one of my things is obviously I dealt with childhood bullying. I dealt with all these different types of things. But one of the things that I've always had issues with I buy a lot of shoes. I buy a lot of clothes. I love clothes and shoes. To me, would you rather me spend it on alcohol? I don't drink. I buy clothes and shoes. So one of the things was, my wife had said something, and I said, "Can I talk to you about this?" And she said, "What?" And I says, "Do you know the reason why I buy so many shoes?" So I was born, I was premature. Was born very small. Wasn't supposed to survive. And I was born with this thing, and I might be saying it wrong. And if my wife's listening, please type in. I was born with cavit feet, which means my feet were deformed. And they need to break them in when you're a baby. But because I was going through so much trauma at the time, I had nose issues, throat issues, like it was bad. It was really bad. And I wasn't supposed to survive, but from the graces of God, I did. Um, but so all my years, because my feet weren't fixed, my shoes would break in weird. So people would go over and say to me, "Oh, I didn't know you were from the desert," because my toes would go up and break them up, and they would call me sandal feet, and all these different things. And even till this day, a buddy of mine says Jesus slippers. You got your Jesus slippers on, and all this. So because my mother did everything for us and bought us beautiful clothes, beautiful shoes, she wasn't like other families that could afford constantly buying their kids shoes when they wore out. So mine would go a little bit longer. And then when it was necessary, my mother would purchase them. And I really appreciate that. And now I'm in a place where I can buy as many shoes as I want. So to have these many shoes isn't because I'm trying to buy as many shoes just to show off I can buy many shoes. It's because I don't want them to break in and remind me of the way it used to be. Okay.
Mhm.
Most people would be hidden about that and say, "Oh my God, I'm not going to tell anybody that story." I really never did tell that story until I was with the person that I was with. And also because people constantly picked on me about it. So that was something I held in my whole life about. Okay. So it was great to be able to say that. Okay. So I believe if something's impacted your life for as long as it has, that the reason why you're in a relationship is to have that person, but not to bring things from the past into it. But if there's questionable situations that are being repeated and it's reminding you of the person in the past that put the distance between you and them, I think if they're valuable to you, you need to say, not that you're comparing them, but they're doing suspect things that always ended up to the reason why you broke up in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you say to yourself, "Well, no, I need to heal myself," you're absolutely right to heal yourself, but healing yourself without having an outlet is very hard. Hence a psychologist or psychologist or a psychiatric person. That's where you go to discuss these things with. And to me, no issues with them, but I saw one. Just to let you know, I saw one for over like God knows how long time when I was a child because I bit the principal in the leg, and they should thought something was wrong with me. So I saw them all the way until I was 14 years old because they were like something's wrong with them. Well, you shouldn't pull my ears, so I'm gonna bite you. That's how I look at things. Sorry, I got off the script.
That's fair.
So listen, present day reality check. What part of your past, all right, I'm sorry, if you don't heal it, you carry it. And if you carry it, you pass it. Okay. Now, do you understand what I mean by that? I'm going to read it to you again.
I
If you don't heal it, so you're saying, "Well, I keep it and then I deal with it myself and then I'm the one that's going to help doing it. So if you don't heal it, you carry it. So you just stated, I deal with it myself. So you're carrying it. And if you carry it, you pass it.
You then bring it on to the next
Yes.
relationship.
So I believe if you don't articulate yourself efficiently and you don't basically say, it's going to end up building, and then all of a sudden you're going to go, the hell's your, and it has nothing even to do with it. It has to do because you're dealing with that shit and you're just like, mother, and then you take it out in your relationship. That's why I go through this thing called process and state for myself. When I look at it and I put myself in their position, in their body, and I start to analyze what they're saying and saying, okay, if they're me, and that's why I'm listening, but I'm actually staring at you because I'm trying to put myself as you to try to articulate to myself, if that was me and I'm saying it to her, how does it actually work and process? It's strange, but for some reason, that's how I watch people that want to get in a fight. I process them and go, okay, let's see where this started from their angle. And then I try to process it back. You know what I mean? So I guess it's a weird thing.
No.
Or it's a positive thing.
I mean, in terms of that question, like healing, carrying it, and then bringing it over, I think honestly, for me, part of that, I think, is my personal upbringing with my family. There was not a whole lot of like talking about things. Everything was just sort of, you were just dealing with your own stuff and just expected to figure it out.
So culture is definitely a main factor of it because,
Yeah.
like my wife, her family's not from here, and they're very competitive against other families. Meaning, if your kid's playing a violin, because I know my wife had to deal with it. Oh, why aren't you as good as them? Or oh, she plays piano better than you. Why is she learning faster than you? Me and my sister dealt with, hey, smack, you know what I mean? Dr. Scholl's to the back of the head. Hey, come in here. Door's locked and a beating comes in.
Oh, for my family, it was a very thin piece of bamboo.
Oh, I love that.
It was stick your hand out, and God help you if you pulled your hand or you flinched, because you were gonna get it like 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, you got to sit there. And I remember back when I was younger, and there's a word called coquita. So it's a coquita, and a coquita is when you put your knuckles like this and you get it in your head. And you know what?
Oh.
Yeah. Trust me, when you're not expecting it, you get it on top of the
In
head.
the head?
It's like getting hit with a bottle.
Oh.
So yeah. So yeah. So remember that term coquita. So
That hurts just thinking about
oh,
it.
trust me, bro. If I tell you this is probably what went on with my brain when I was younger, oh, the trauma it has. So listen, trauma bonds feel intense. Health bonds feel steady. Okay. And this is what me and you were just discussing, is because you were trying to heal yourself. And I feel if you're holding a trauma in and you can't turn around and have that trust factor with your partner to discuss it, it's hard. It's hard. And trust me, sometimes I sit there and I process things in my past and I'm like, and then I'm looking at this, and then luckily I could say things to my wife and I say, hey, listen, blah, 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 and this and that. You got to understand. I'm not saying it to her to try to process it and come up with a resolution or a solution for it, correct? I am just doing it to finally breathe and say that I'm saying it because I didn't have an opportunity to say it. So sometimes it's great just for your partner to listen than it is to make statements back. All right. So when things feel easy, what do you assume is coming next in a relationship?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of a pessimist, so I'm always assuming that, there's another shoe waiting to drop and something.
Yes, you are, Mike. And I was going to say, if
happen.
you answer this incorrect, I'm going to be like, bullshit. You're exactly that guy. You're, and it doesn't matter what type of male bond and friendship, you are always like what I've noticed with you. Life could be rosy, and you're always, I could tell. I'm like, Mike, what's up? No.
Oh, I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Why though? Past trauma?
Probably. I mean,
So what age did this start that you've been waiting for the other shoe to drop? You couldn't have started as a child to move forward and think that, wow, I'm eating an ice cream, but
no, no,
I'm probably gonna get hit by a bus.
no, definitely not. I don't. I mean, as a kid, I mean, looking back at it, I don't think I had a care in the world. I mean, I had a roof over my head. There was always food on the table. I mean, it would.
So when did this change?
You know what? I honestly don't know. I can't point to like one specific like time in my life where that just like started. I think just over time, the person that I became
Okay.
just always thinks that there's something around the corner.
So I'm always with that adage, every bad comes good. But then I look at it this way. No matter what people consider bad, like when people are all like, I know when I got shot in the head and the whole 9 yard, everyone's like, holy shit, after I healed up years later, you got shot in the head. And my comment is there's no difference than a hangnail. And they're like, what are you talking about? You got bullets in your head. And I said, and you have a hangnail that you ripped out that hurt just as much. And I think in a relationship, it's about ripping the band-aid off and dealing with whatever you have to deal with. But any relationship that you're in, that person's not the same person, but sometimes that action becomes the same action. And if you have that same reaction, I think you need to change it. So I think you being a pessimist, that if you're always thinking bad's gonna happen, it's not bad that's gonna happen. Something comes up that's a hiccup, you just automatically elevate it to bad. And I think it's the same way as a relationship. It's like, well, I can't believe he said that, or I can't believe she did that. Like, why? Just discuss it. Have that conversation. Listen, we've all left a fork in the sink. We've all left a shoe coming in and it was wet and dirty. And we've all basically left clothes on a bed. We've all done it's nothing so dramatic. Think about that day that you got married, or that day that you asked her out, or the day you asked him out. Think of that moment, what brought such joy. And now what has brought so much anger to the situation. And in my head is obviously we know this world isn't rosy and tulips and all that. My comment always to my wife is I stop to smell roses, you like to trample through them and stomp. Okay. I says, and I'm not, and she's the flower person, so that makes me laugh. But she wants and I'm like, whoa, 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 hey, conversation time. But it's funny, but not we literally don't have situations or issues. We just have questions per se. You know what I mean? It's not issues, not problems. Sometimes we have disagreements, or it's great because we can sit and have a conversation and actually articulate to each other. But like any other relationship, sometimes the articulation doesn't work as well as you imagine it to be. So sometimes I'm very analytical. I'm the worst person. If you say something, it's gonna stick in my head. Remember what you said, because it could be a year from now, I'm gonna question that. Well, that's not what you said. This is what you stated. And it might be because I went through so much investigation training that you pick out subject matter lines. And that's bad for me. It is bad for me. And I don't want to bring it in a relationship, even friends or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, it's helped me. It's
Yeah.
really helped me. So I want to discuss emotional maturity check. Emotional maturity is taking responsibility without explanation. When was the last time you owned your behavior fully?
I think all the time.
So you basically say I was wrong. Let's move on, or do you say I was wrong and this is the reason you're wrong?
I think if I'm legitimately wrong, I'm just gonna say I'm wrong. I'm not gonna try and justify why I was wrong.
Okay, but what if they want justification of why you were wrong? So my question is this: me and you go, you're right, I was wrong. But Mike, why were you wrong? I was wrong. Well, but you do know what I mean. I was explaining it to you, and yet you were still telling me you weren't wrong, but now you're saying you're wrong. So how were you wrong?
Yeah, I don't think I typically will like go into like an analysis of why I was wrong. If I think a certain way or I'm doing something a certain way and it doesn't work and you're pointing it out to me that that's not working, knucklehead, what are you doing? Then I'm gonna be and when I finally see it, I'm gonna be like, it's just okay. Yeah, that was the wrong way to do it.
That's it. Done and it's over to me. I don't question, but I will take ownership of my behavior.
Yeah, and
And
I will say that's with the caveat of figuring out that what you were doing or how you were doing something or what you were saying was wrong. You do need to learn from it, but I don't think I typically spend a lot of time like explaining why I was wrong. It's like,
do you
okay,
think you
this
have
was
to though? Because to be honest with you, if I've caught you in a few things and you're like, oh, I was wrong, I'm like, all right, good. And I just move on because I appreciate that you noticed that.
yeah,
That's it.
and I don't think an explanation as to why I was wrong is necessarily needed. It's if I then subsequently keep repeating that same mistake, I would say then yeah, then a discussion needs to be had as to, well, if you know it's wrong, why do you keep doing it?
So Mike, I know I do things wrong and you correct me a lot. But it's not I do things wrong with my company. But what's my number one thing I always do wrong? I always do it.
Get people's names wrong.
Get people's names wrong. You're absolutely right, Mike. And I was hoping you answered that correctly. In my head, their parents named them wrong. Because if I'm calling them by another name, then there's something that's telling me that it isn't my fault they were named that. They look like this person. But Mike, do I admit?
I'm not gonna sit here and
But
start
Mike-
naming the names that you get wrong.
But Mike, what do I say after you say no? His name is this. What do I say?
You just say whatever.
Whatever. And I say,
And then you say, you know who I'm talking about.
yes,
though."
I do. So to me, if I'm saying something and I'm saying it incorrectly, I got no problem saying I'm wrong, but I'm going to articulate to you, maybe I'm not wrong. Maybe they started out this wrong, meaning like you said it, you go, wow, you always screw this guy's name over. And no offense to my teammates, but I'm telling you, your parents named you the wrong name because if I'm saying your name incorrectly and you worked for this company for 2 to 3 years and I'm still screwing your name and I'm saying the other name, your name should have been that name. Okay? So Mike, you guessed it correctly though, because I just did it today. And I'm like, who? And you're like, oh, and I'm like, who names you a girl's name that's a guy? I'm just confused. I'm not gonna say the name.
Everyone is named something.
Yeah, I don't know. So listen, I also because this was from a past relationship, the loneliness loop. Okay. So some people would rather be hurt than be alone. Okay. So I'm going to use me an example. So my past relationship, which I wrote a book, in that relationship, I was a young child when all the trauma happened to me, and I was in a relationship, and in my head, it was thinking everything was rosy, this and that, and then it happened, and whatever, cheated on me, the whole nine yard, while I was healing. But I jumped too quick into a next relationship. I didn't get over, and I was a child. You're talking 19, 20 years old in a relationship for 4 years before that. So you're talking 15 years old until 19 years old, right? So obviously it was like 2 years ago, by the way, for those of you that don't know my age. So I jumped in a relationship and it was very, very bad. I was traumatized. I was everything else. Then from that relationship, I jumped into another relationship. And then that one, the person was abusive, yelled, told people I'm not intelligent before I met them, said that they're embarrassed of me, but please just accept me for who I am. And I didn't realize all this stuff was going behind my back when this person, before introducing me, apologized for me to the point where gentleman, which Mr. Sinclair, shout out Maddie, grabbed me aside and said, and this was back in my whiskey drinking days. He brought me to his room, a little den room, sat down, and this guy was a brain, literally a brain. And he said to me, "You're not as dumb as I thought." And I said, "What?" I put the shot glass down, ready to tell him, "Let's step outside." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, your girl was saying that you're an idiot and that she apologized to me and my wife and about how stupid you are." He goes, "I don't think you're stupid at all." And I went, "Well, geez, thanks." So we did about 3 shots, went upstairs, and we were playing some game. And I says, "Well, I don't know if I could partner with you because I'm dumb. So I think I'm going to partner with Matt." So me and Matt ended up destroying them too. It was a great time, great game, but they detached relationship from her and became my friend because I was nothing like the person did. So what I ended up doing was when I got out of that relationship, I finally learned I need to find Felipe. And that's when my life turned. Gave up the alcohol. I was always godly, but I got even more godly. I started picking up the book. I started reading the book. I handled what I needed to handle before I met my present wife. I got all of it out, all of it. So I've had other friends that jump girl to girl to girl to girl, and it's going to be the same thing over and over again. So with me, is I'd rather be alone to deal with my problems to find the person that I found. Okay, because I don't think that I would deserve her if I didn't do what I did. Okay, so do you have a story about that, or
I don't. I don't know that I necessarily have a story, but my feeling on that, and I know you and I have previously discussed this because we know someone who can't be alone. And I feel like if you can't be alone with yourself,
Yeah.
you are never going to be happy with someone because you need to understand yourself. You need to know yourself before you can actually, I think, be with someone in a like actual like long-term committed relationship. I mean, it's in our nature to want to be with someone, I think. That's just, I mean, people couple.
do you believe that? From you,
Whether
you're saying it's in your nature,
whether
but you
it's
yourself, do you believe that? Because you just spoke to me almost like you're robotic, almost like it's something that's been channeled into you, but I didn't hear emotions in it. So to me,
well,
it's no. My question is, do you miss a person or do you miss the distraction? So think of what I just said. Do you miss the person or do you miss the distraction?
from past relationships.
No, just from what you said. So it's like almost programmable of how you articulated that. And to me, it sounded like more or less you're just missing a distraction, but you're not willing to settle for yourself. So to me, going from one thing, as you said, you discussed about the person, jumps relationship, can't be alone. Do you believe they can't be alone? Do you believe they can't, they love the distraction?
That particular person, I think they just can't be alone.
So it's not the distraction.
No, I don't think it. I don't think it's a distraction for for them. I think it's. I think there's some fear involved of, you know, this fear of like, you know, I'm going to be alone, like
For the rest of your life.
for the rest of my life, however long
That
that
sucks.
is. Which
If you don't have family, you don't have anybody else to bond. Like I know at times I feel guilty for my mom because I know my mom could have been in multitudes of relationships because a beautiful woman and everybody was always asking her on dates, but she committed herself to work and me and my sister. And at times I feel sad about that, but she has us, and I'm not making an excuse for that. And you know what I mean? It just sucks that you're going to get to that age and only knowing there's no other man in your life or female in your life that's going to care for you as we were made to be cared for on this earth. So I can understand that. But I can also understand that not having a distraction and having a commitment to yourself is a better value than jumping into something else that just has more distraction or me causing that distraction in your relationship. That's why my favorite line is this: you could always do better than me, and I could always do better than you, and we could leave each other. But guess what's going to happen in a new relationship?
I think you're still going to deal with the same things.
Same thing.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with the same thing, except this time it might not be a guy that's going to hit you. It might not be a guy that's going to argue. It's going to be a guy that's going to sit quiet. But because you're so used to being battered and someone putting you down, this is a certain different type of batter. What is it? You don't want, because you're not yelling. You're not articulating back. You're not getting upset with them. It's like, so to me, it's interesting. It's really hard to hear Mike from Dr. Wong.
I'm sorry. I'll try to speak up.
Might be because he's speaking Chinese. But I do appreciate that answer. But what are people afraid to admit? In a relationship, friendship, in a relationship, in a marriage, what are people afraid to admit?
I think a lot of times people are afraid to admit when something hurts them. I think a lot of people just sort of internalize it, which, sometimes leads to like bigger issues, bigger problems.
Okay, I have a little different perspective on it.
That's just me. A lot of people will just play things off and be sarcastic or make a joke out of it and not necessarily try and show or let it show when something like actually like bothers them.
Okay. I look at it this way because once again, we can go back to the beginning of time, meaning family, meaning there was no relationship. I didn't have anybody to hang with. I didn't have anybody that was a friend of mine. They actually made a song about me that was led by my sister. My sister was very popular. She was most likely to succeed. She was most beautiful. She was all these things. So I always, and I could never forget that I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid, like when I look at things and I'm in it, in the relationship, even with my wife, at times I sit there and I need to step back because I'm so afraid of failing that I have to step two step backs. And it's funny, what brings me forward is the song that all these kids made of me. And when I would come out to go play with them, they made a song up called Scum, Scum, Scumblebee Jr. We hate Scumblebee Jr. And that sits in my head where I took that and brought that in and started reading, because now my new friend became books.
Mhm.
And then every time I feel I'm failing, I go back to that time. Even at times where I feel I might be failing my wife, I go back to that song because it puts me back in my motivational process to keep moving it forward, that this is worth it, that this is the time. We're at that age. I'm at where I'm supposed to be in life, you know?
Yeah.
So wait, it's really hard to hear Mike. We can barely hear Mike. That's what she keeps saying. Mike, I don't understand why they can barely hear you. So stop goddamn whispering.
Well, clearly they're used to like your like ebullience with your personality.
I don't even know that goddamn word. Mike just said the word booleans. And if I was going to guess, that is something that goes in chicken soup.
Don't you ever
What's that? What goes in chicken soup?
Bouillon.
Bouillon. Now, did you add the S to it to make it look fancy?
No.
Oh, all right. It sounds like the same goddamn word.
Don't you ever wonder sometimes if I'm just making words up just to fuck with you?
Listen, I absolutely think you're making up words, and I think everyone makes up words. So So that's one of the things that I don't trust myself. I don't trust because I don't trust myself at times. And what I mean by that is sometimes I sit quiet and I try to place myself in that person's position because I don't trust myself in saying something that it has nothing to do with the situation or issue. So I try to be analytical about it. I wonder, like, when people are thinking while they're speaking to me, I don't know how to be loved without tension. As I turn around and I watch people and they want to develop that anger, and I'm like, it's interesting because I take it even out to the streets. It's all of a sudden you get in a fight with your friend, and 2 seconds later you're hugging it up and in this and that. So I wonder if we're programmed that from tension comes release. So in your relationship with your wife, your girlfriend, your guy friend, you guys fight, and then all of a sudden you feel closeness after the fight. So you're gonna tell me when you and your wife has like, you guys are parlaying it back and forth, and you guys are having the conversation, right? Of an argument breaks out. After the argument breaks out, all of a sudden it's all done. You guys are all huggy. You guys are all kissy and everything else like that. Do you think some relationships thrive in issues and problems and tensions?
I'm sure that there are relationships that thrive on that. For me,
Is that called bondage? My cat, God, my
I no, I think bondage is a different thing.
I was thinking that movie Sex Gray or Gray Sex or whatever back in the day.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. See, that's what Mike does.
I'm well versed in Felipe speak. I mean, there are definitely relationships I think that thrive on the conflict, and like thrive on like constantly like arguing about something. I would question whether or not
I
that
agree.
those relationships end up being sustainable.
Okay. So how about this? I'm afraid of healing will change who I am.
I don't think that works in a relationship at all. Changing who you are just to be in or stay in a relationship, I think ultimately leads to failure in the relationship. If the person you're with can't accept you for who you are, or you can't accept the other person for who they are, the relationship's not going to work.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So listen, Mike, thank you so much. I'm going to end it by just saying healing isn't glamorous, it's consistent. Okay? So you can keep explaining your pain or you can stop passing it on. Both are choices. All right? So what I like to say is this. Everyone's got a history, everyone's got a past. It's your choice in life in making that decision if the person or friend that you're with is worth the investment. Because I'd rather walk into a home where I'm getting hugs and kisses than going home and saying, while I'm at work, going, oh my God, I can't believe I left that on the counter. I'm going to hear it when I get home. Stupid things like that. Because I know when I look at where I was and where I am, I'm so excited to see who I'm with. I'm so excited to see who surrounded me. I'm so excited to see what I've built. And who I have to build it with. So, anything for you, Mike?
I don't think so. I well, thank you for having me on. This has been fun.
All right. No, I appreciate it. And also, I'd like to say every adult relationship ends up in the same place. We all know this. It all ends up in the same place. You either heal your past or you bleed on people who didn't cut you. I love that line. I made that line up. I'm going to put it on a goddamn shirt. By the way, support my shirt line. Go to internalvalor.com. Check out the gear. I came out with 2026. It sells out 100 and then it's a dead line. Help support the cause. And please pass on at Security Tales to have other people follow us. What the hell? Everyone tells me they're going to watch, they're going to click. No one does it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. But then tells me about another podcast. I don't give a shit. Okay. I want you to basically click on my podcast.
If you're not watching it, you know what that means.
Yeah. If peace feels boring, you're not healed. Okay. So these are things that I wanted to end. If peace feels boring, you're not healed. If a reassurance never lasts, you're not asking, you're coping. Before your next question, ask yourself, am I trying to understand or am I asking someone else to carry what I refuse to hear? Oh, come on, Mike. You like that? That was some fancy shit. And I'm not going to lie. That took me like 4 minutes. And then I said, that doesn't sound right, and corrected it. But hey, listen, everyone, thank you so much for those of you that watch me and those of you that basically talk about me. I love it. But blessings to all of you. And I really appreciate the opportunity you guys give me to listen for a little while of my stupidness. And listen, what I'm saying is what me and Mike discussed today is just our take on what we believe in our relationships in our past. So I don't want you to turn around and use and say, well, Jesus, Felipe told me to do this. Felipe didn't tell you to do this. Felipe's telling you what he's been through in his past and relationship, that if it could help you, which I hope it's something I said helped out and something Mike also said helped out. That's all. I'd love to give my love and shout out. And thank you, Dr. Wong. Mad love for you. And CC, you didn't click back on. Screw you. I did fix it. And then I know Mike's little girly voice wasn't heard enough. I'm gonna have to man him up. Maybe I'll put electricity on that chair and buzz next time.
Cattle prod.
Candle prod. Thank you so much on Security Tales. Mad love and respect and blessings. Now I'm gonna go end on